What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our college football channel. We continue with our 2022 predictions. The Texas A&M Aggies are up next. Here are some of the other predictions for Texas A&M. You see the FPI has them at 7.5 and 4.6. So 7-5, 8-4, kind of in that range. About a 10% chance to go to the SEC championship. Athlon much higher. They have them at 10-2, so they think that they're going to have a great year, and probably not the college football playoff, but more than likely a New Year's Six bowl. I would say definitely at 10-2 in the SEC. And then the over/under for this team is at 8.5, so 8-4, 9-3. That seems to be what this team would be, and I agree with that. I think they are in the 8-4, 9-3 range. A lot of people, have this team in the top 5 or maybe as a playoff contender. I'm just not seeing that. So look, the future is very bright for Texas A&M. This recruiting class that they've had, they're really the last two classes together give them a lot of talent. There is a lot of talent on this roster, and if they continue to recruit like that, the future is very, very bright for the Aggies. They will be probably in the college football playoff before you know it. But when we're talking about 2022, they lack experience. There's not a lot of production coming back for this Texas A&M team. They'll be good, they'll be talented, but if we're talking about a playoff team, an Alabama or a Georgia type team, I don't see that unless they get elite quarterback play. I think if they can get elite quarterback play, Texas A&M becomes a college football playoff contender. I don't know if they're going to get that this year, whether it's Max Johnson, Haynes King, whoever wins that job. I don't think they're going to get elite quarterback play. And so because of that, with the inexperience, I think it's a team that isn't quite there yet, but still a talented team and a team that's going to be tough to beat. We look at the schedule here. Of course, they play Miami in the non-conference. That's going to be a big game. They open up, though, with Sam Houston and then Appalachian State. Those will be the first two games, non-conference games, to kind of get it going. App State won't be an easy win, but they should win. All right, let's take that back and say it won't be a blowout. It should be a fairly easy win, but not a blowout type game. They'll probably win it by 17 to 20 points, somewhere in that range. But I do have them starting off the season 2-0, and really no reason they should lose either one of those two games. All right, next, big game, non-conference, Miami, September 17th, a home game for Texas A&M. This is going to be a big one. A lot of people think Texas A&M is just going to roll in this game, but I disagree. I think Miami has a real shot in this one. It's going to be tough for them playing on the road at Texas A&M, but this is a Miami team that is a veteran team. A lot of production coming back. I really like what they've done with their assistant coaches. It's going to be a well-coached team with a quarterback who I think has an advantage. I think Tyler Van Dyke is better than any quarterback on the Texas A&M roster, or at least will be in 2022, and maybe that's the difference. I think this Miami team, because of that experience, they're able to go on the road, pull off a shocker, upset Texas A&M, and yes, I am picking Miami to beat Texas A&M and give them their first loss of the season. Should be a great game. Could see it going either way, but just kind of a gut feeling. I'm really high on Miami, and I think they will pull off this upset. Moving on to the next game, it's Arkansas in Arlington. Really, you go back to last year, that's when Arkansas kind of arrived, and they beat Texas A&M. It was like, wow, this Arkansas team is pretty good, and this Texas A&M team is just not as good as we thought they were going to be. This year, I think it's time for Texas A&M to get their revenge. I think they will play much better. Quarterback play should be better for them. It'll be a great game. A really good game. Probably one that comes down to the final possession. But I think Texas A&M gets their revenge. They beat Arkansas. They win a big one, and they improve to 3-1. But that's a coin flip game, a game that could really go either way. Looking forward to that one for sure. Moving on to Mississippi State on the road on October the 1st. Tough place to play with the Cowbells, and this Mississippi State team is a veteran team. I think they have a big advantage here in experience. Returning production definitely there for Mississippi State. Raw talent, Texas A&M probably the better team, or definitely the better team. But I think the experience for Mississippi State, plus the fact that they're playing at home. Playing at home is going to be big, I think. It makes the difference. I'm going to pick Mississippi State to pull off the upset here and beat Texas A&M. And this is, especially when we get to the SEC, don't get so hung up on, each game I pick here. It's all about the schedule. It's all about the record, I should say. At the end of the day, I do my records for every team. I figure out what I think each team's record is going to be, and then I go back and fill in the games. And sometimes I have to move some games around from what I would really think, to get another team's record what I want it to be. And so there is a lot of movement sometimes when I'm doing these predictions. So maybe you flip Arkansas and Mississippi State. Maybe they lose to Arkansas, beat Mississippi State. However it falls, it's really, again, just about that overall record. This is just one way that this season could go for the Aggies. Alabama's up next. If I'm an Aggie fan, I don't want to watch this game. I think Alabama is going to be so motivated. It's a revenge game. They're playing at home. I don't expect this game to be close, really. I think Alabama will roll. Again, this is that one game where the motivation will be there, and it'll just be a game where Alabama is clicking on all cylinders, and they win big. I do think Alabama will win that game big, and that drops Texas A&M down to 3-3 before a game against South Carolina on the road. This is another example of, I needed a win for South Carolina. Maybe I needed a loss for Texas A&M, and I did pick South Carolina to win this game. It's tough. It's definitely one that could go either way, but it's a road game, tough place to play. South Carolina's got some talent. They're going to be, I think, better than some people expect. Spencer Rattler over there at quarterback. Again, quarterback advantage here for the Gamecocks. I'm saying South Carolina wins that game. And Texas A&M falls to 3-4. If it does go down like this, you're going to have some fans on edge. It's going to be panic time if you're Texas A&M starting 3-4. But I do think they'll pick up some momentum after this. They'll play Ole Miss next. Going to be a good team, an explosive offense. After those losses, though, Texas A&M should really be focused in for this game. They're playing at home. Some of those young players starting to get more and more experience. I think Texas A&M will be much better when they play LSU than when they play Sam Houston or Miami early in the season. I think it's a team that gets better as the season goes. And I think this is about the point after those 3 losses in a row, they kind of turn the corner. And I expect them to beat Ole Miss in a close one. It'll be tough to contain that Ole Miss offense, but I think they'll be able to do just enough. I think the Aggie offense will get it rolling, and they'll score some points in this one as well. So I'm going with the Aggies in a bit of a shootout. The next game will be against Florida on November 5th. Florida has some talent. If you look at their starting lineup, you really, both sides of the ball, they're in pretty good shape. I think people don't realize that Florida, they've got guys. I mean, this is not a bad team. I know they finished last year, but I think it was more about just this team kind of giving up. I think depth, though, might be an issue for them. A&M going to be a deeper team. Again, those young guys getting more and more experience. I think the Aggies at home get the win here over Florida. Next game is on the road at Auburn. Tough place to play. This will be a tough one. I think it'll be a close game, but just talent-wise, again, A&M has an advantage, a pretty big advantage here, and I think it's enough with them playing really, really well by this point. They're able to go on the road and get a big win over Auburn and then also beat UMass. They'll close things out with LSU. This will be a good one. What a rivalry. I don't know if I'd call it a rivalry yet, but what a series this has been. These teams playing, at the end of the year, they've had some great, great games. I don't think this year will disappoint. I think it'll be another great game. It's one of those coin flip games, and a lot of times when it's that way, I'm just going to go with the home team. I'm picking Texas A&M here, and I've got them going 8-4. Again, you can move some games around. Let's say they slip up on the road at Auburn, but maybe they beat South Carolina. They do have a bye week before playing South Carolina, so you could flip those games. But again, I needed another win for South Carolina and needed another loss for Auburn. That's just kind of how it worked out. But I am picking them to go 8-4, which is right there with some of the other predictions. 9-3 possibly. It would be hard. I don't really see them going 7-5. But again, there is a lot of inexperience on this team. If they do lose to Miami, then yeah, maybe 7-5 is a possibility because they do have a lot of tough games there down the stretch. But I'm going to stick with 8-4. 8-4, my prediction for Texas A&M in 2022.